Hi everyone, welcome back, welcome back. Exciting time to be on the stream. We are gonna be checking out another game. This time it's from a team called Offbrand, but they are certainly gonna be looking to be branding themselves as a team in the industry, huh? I remember the ProtoPlay hashtag on the social media. Any other socials you would like to check out are below, and if you don't want to spend your time typing them in the browser, just scroll down, click on one of the panels, it's gonna take you to the desired destination. And without further ado, let's get on with it. Hello, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi there, how are you doing? I'm doing amazing, thank you. You there? Hello?
Oh yeah, hello.
Awesome. Okay, let's get started. So, could you tell us about yourself first of all, of course, and your game and team? Just give a bit of in few words, about your game and
Sure.
team.
So I'm Finn. I'm a team leader at Offbrand. We are branding ourselves in industry, but not in the typical way a brand would do, which is why we're Offbrand.
I see, I
And
see.
yeah.
I was just making a joke about it.
Oh no, it's a good. I like that joke. It's a
Thank you.
good joke. I should write that joke down. I should use it myself.
Well,
Can I steal it?
yeah, just clip it.
So the game is called Will It Golf, and it's a lot of it's kind of said in the title. The idea is to come into this world where golfing is more or less the objective, and the persistent question is, will it golf? So, can I pick up something that's not a golf club, and will that golf?
I see,
Can
I
I
see.
pick up the ball? Can I pick up the flag? Various yeah,
As we see on the screen, the player was just golfing the UI. Why not the in-game UI? You could
exactly.
say.
Yeah, I love this idea right now of having sort of integrated in-world UI and then
Yeah.
taking that one step further and making it interactive and part of the mechanic is
Yeah.
quite interesting to me.
That's awesome. Straight to the point. It's almost like the title of your game tells you what the player should expect, and it's quite intriguing, right? Just trying to figure out what can be played.
Yeah, I hope so. I do have a kind of a proper sentence that we refer to for what the game is about, so I can kind of give that to you. It's Will It Golf? It's a single-player golf sandbox that blends atypical golfing objectives with emergent play.
There we go. There you have it. Very nice. And we're gonna get more details on that in this interview. Let's go. About the inspiration. There is quite a few popular golfing games out there, but not likes of yours. So where did the idea for your game come from?
It's been a very long process of going through a lot of different ideas, of iterating from a prototype that started as something very, very different. In terms of the inspiration for the golfing aspect of this game, a lot of you will definitely know titles like What the Golf. Might have heard of Pool Panic, for example, which are both sort of newer takes on a more familiar genre where it's about the humor and the wackiness and the absurdity and not this kind of stringent sports game genre mentality. So that's definitely part of how we arrived at where we are. It began life as a game about a penguin that had a vacuum cleaner that could suck in coins and spit out coins. So it's really come like quite a long way from being that. It's become a completely different game.
I see.
And yeah, I guess the only thing I can say about the inspiration is that it's sort of we have this approach at Offbrand. We will try out an idea, sort of implement it as quickly as possible, and then really let the game sort of speak to us and figure out what it wants to become. So what things feel good when you actually implement them and play them, as opposed to what might seem like it works well in your head.
Yeah, and then you just go with it, right? If it feels right, just double down on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What are you most proud of from your project?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Pick one aspect of it. Let's go.
I mean, you can see the fire right now. I think the fire is pretty cool. But to give you a serious answer, I think, yeah, I'm most proud of really sort of the way that the whole team has been able to come together to take something that's not got a clear path mapped out for it, in the sense that a lot of other games might have, if they're you know, staying true to a more popular genre. There's sometimes a bit of a pathway for you where you can really direct yourself and figure out, like, are these things that I'm trying already popular? Like, do they work well? Can I just iterate on them, or do I have to sort of branch out and do something a lot wackier? And because of that, we had a lot of really unexpected challenges at the game design level, but really at every level, because the game design level has to be supported by the art and by the sound and all that other stuff. So we really had to sort of work together to figure out how to make this game about exploring and being creative and stuff like that, but also kind of have some sense of a core progression to follow. And I think, we've mostly done that. There's definitely still improvements to be made in that sense, but I think that would probably be the one thing that I'm the most proud of. Yeah.
I see. I really like the approach you took with the game. It's very creative, and yeah, you never know what might be the tool you need to complete the level. I'm really liking the gloves that you can just shoot out.
Thank you.
It's probably my favorite so far from what I've seen.
Yeah, me too, actually. The gloves are really funny.
Yeah, it's great. Maybe double down on that. Make a boss fight with a golf ball. There you go.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Can we make the golf ball look a bit like you as well?
Maybe. I don't know. We can talk business in DMs.
We can chat privately. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about changes? Would you change anything? Maybe even going forward, is there anything, maybe not enhanced, but in terms of changes, something that you would say needs a rework?
Yeah, that's another good one. I've been preparing for this question, actually, because it's a tricky one to answer for us. It sort of ties into my previous answer, and there's definitely two parts to it. Like, if we could go back and what we would do moving forward, because of our approach being so open, for really quite a long time, we really only started to sort of narrow down what this was going to be maybe a month before we sort of handed it in. So if I could go back in time, it would be nice in an ideal world to have reached a clear concept earlier, maybe. It's easy to say that in hindsight. I don't know if it would have been possible to do that, given that that's kind of inherent in our approach. But certainly moving forwards, we do still want to be able to test out a couple of other slightly different approaches to how this game could play out. At the moment, the idea is that we're going to introduce lots more different ways of interacting with the ball beyond the boxing gloves and the leaf blower and stuff. And I just want to test out a few other ideas as well alongside that approach to make sure that we're really going in the right direction. Especially given that we've got sort of the opportunity to take a bit of a fresh start if we are able to secure the funding and stuff like that.
Yeah. Could you just take me through the gameplay? Is the goal of the player to have fun, or do I actually get to complete the golf course?
Yeah, it's kind of both. So I mean, from my priority, as my sort of personal thing is I want the player to just have fun. I want them to come into this world and just feel the sense of freedom and curiosity, and just drive around hitting minions and not really need to feel a sense of objective. But I'm very aware that's not necessarily something that works in games across a wide audience. So I've had to kind of balance that off against a more objective-oriented progression system. So that's kind of what the flags are for.
I see.
And the tee-off points. So you can complete the game. There's a sort of set number of holes, one of which is almost like a bit of a bonus hole that we don't expect you to do because it's quite difficult. You might spot it at some point in the video. And you can finish it, and you get a score at the end, and there's a scoreboard in the middle so you can see how well you did against other players and stuff like that. But at its core, it's not really supposed to be about that. It's supposed to be more about just running around, being a bit mad, and sort of just making up your own little games within the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, having player have fun with the game pretty much everyone's goal when designing a game, or should be, I suppose. Has your development changed by any means? Because you mentioned you weren't quite sure in terms of the direction of your game at the very start. How did the participating in Transfuser and ProtoPlay, how did that influence the development?
Well, it really helped us to refine what we wanted to do and strip away all the stuff that wasn't kind of core to the idea that we wanted to pursue. So, in a past life, this game was called Golf with Satan.
Oh.
And it had this, it had this the Satan character that would run around and play golf with you, and he was quite an amusing character, and he looked sort of creepy and cute and stuff, and I really quite liked him. But we came to a point where we just realized, in order to really refine the gameplay down to what we wanted it to be, he had to actually be removed from the game because he was just kind of creating too much confusion.
I see.
And also just technical issues as well, like in terms of the AI for him. So, there were some relatively big changes like that probably wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had the context of Transfuser, and especially the mentorship from Adam and Jai and some other people that really helped us to kind of look at the game from an outside perspective and make those tough decisions.
I see. The Satan you had in game was truly not only an issue in terms of the lore, but a technical issue as well.
Lived
up to its name.
The trickster,
the trickster, certainly. So I mean, you've mentioned already that the community certainly helped you develop the game, so I appreciate that information. Thank you for sharing. About the target audience, the game is really, I mean, it's low-key a sandbox golfing course, right? Do you have any target market in mind that you are trying to tailor the game for? Because at least you seemed quite flexible with where the game is heading. Do you have a specific target market for that, or are you open to anything?
Yeah, sort of. We do, but I don't like to think of the target market in demographic terms. Something I've learned from the play testing and the feedback that we've got is that there are groups that want to play this game, but they're not grouped by age or by gender or by they're grouped by kind of like preference over genre a little bit, or just kind of how willing people are to try something that's actually going to give you a bit more freedom than you might typically be used to. So basically there's two groups that we've kind of identified. One is the people that they like sandbox games. They're not afraid to sort of just mess around and won't get bored if they're not given a task. And then the other is the sort of more the usual approach to a game, and like the sort of what typical game is, which is a series of goals that you fulfill to feel a sense of progression. So I think those are kind of like how we identify our two groups, and we've just tried to make the game work for both of those as well as it can do.
I see. I mean, you've got a very unique project at your hands. I wasn't expecting when I asked you a question, I was just curious how you are approaching it really, because it's hard to pinpoint a target market with a game which is just about having fun, that's essentially what it is. And there is no age limit for having fun, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a very, very flexible thing.
We're sort of learning about the target market as we go through this.
I see.
We had ideas about what it would be when we started out, but we were wrong, obviously. So, the longer we, the more people we show it to, the more we start to get a sense of who it might be.
I see. Speaking of showing it to people, what has been your feedback like from players?
Really, really good actually. Especially for me personally, seeing. I'm not sure if this is feedback, but just one example of feedback is seeing people play it in a live stream or a video that they might have made about it, and seeing the enthusiasm that they have that very first time entering into the game. That has been extremely both insightful and motivating for me, because having worked on it for quite a long time, it's pretty easy to forget what that feeling is like when you first jump into this game and you have the initial surprise of like the stuff you can do and how you interact with the world. So yeah, that's one side of it. It's like the positive side of it, and then it's kind of a mixed blessing actually, the community feedback stuff, because given the nature of the game being so open, there's been this tendency I've noticed where people will jump in, and like this is what we want, right? Like we want them to jump in and feel this is a place where they can use their imagination to do wacky stuff with a little bit of direction. And the effect that has on feedback is that everyone has very, very different wishes for what they want the game to be like.
I see.
So yeah, so it pulled us in a lot of different directions, and just kind of figuring out, when to sort of cut off a pathway and sort of when to go down one has definitely been challenging.
I feel like it's one of these. I feel like it's one of these things that you as a developer, you just have to decide what you really want the game to be. But of course, in your case, the game is just like, it's just a fun project. It's almost like you don't want it to be anything but just a fun thing to engage with. But at the same time, I definitely understand where you're coming from by saying that many players have different demands and it can be a bit confusing in terms of feedback as well.
Yeah, exactly. I want it to be familiar enough as a game for it to not be alienating for people, but open enough to present a new direction for games in general to take, that we would certainly be pursuing, again and again as a company after this game as well. Kind of the message that we're trying to explore and express.
That's cool. I just wanted to say the zoom in mechanic where the player actually takes his hands and makes it like a budget zoom is great. It's hilarious. It's a great comedic feature right there.
Thank you. Yeah.
I remember.
Binoculars.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. It was when I was doing a research on your game. It made me smile when I saw that. I was like, oh, it was brilliant.
See, that's our objective. If we've made someone smile, then like the game is a success, in my opinion.
You did it. It's a success.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to hear that.
We are seeing some bowling assets on the screen. Does it?
Yeah, I'm not. Sorry. Yeah.
And they are also walking around. What's up with that? Is that part of the Satan Project leftovers?
No, not directly. I mean, a lot of what is the final product is in some sense left over from a long string of experimentation, and the bowling pins, they're there just to sort of reassert the point that this is not a game that takes itself seriously. It's like, we're playing golf, but here's some bowling pins. You can pick one up and use it like a golf club, because I feel like if you wanted to do that and I didn't let you, that would be sad.
Yeah.
So that's why they're still there. Okay. And it's also kind of a symbol of like more things to come that will be of a similar vein, comedy, and taking it further away from the golfing aspect. So there might be sort of like a basketball court and some other stuff that
I see. Oh, some teasers right
there. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret.
A bit, yeah. No one will know. Absolutely. As long as no one clips it, no one will know. Absolutely.
Awesome.
A bit more on the serious side. I'm just wondering myself, because I know the game is very open for the player, but how is the player really guided towards progressing in the game, right? Or is the progression not in store at the moment? Like going from a level to a level, perhaps?
Yeah, in this playthrough here that we've got, I played it in a very non-linear way, so it's a little bit difficult to see the intended progression. The answer to that is basically the giant numbers next to the holes. So you can see number 5 just now. It was just on the screen for a second there. We brought that in as a way of stopping players from running straight to the volcano. We wanted this open world feel, but then we noticed a lot of players just went straight for the kind of most visually engaging thing, which I guess was the volcano, and that's the the end of the game. It's like the most difficult hole.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we brought in these giant hole numbers so you can tell exactly which hole is which, and they turn green when you've completed the hole, so that you can see them from quite far away, and they glow bright green.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you a bit of a sense of progression. But honestly, if you start out in the linear fashion and then get a bit lost and start having fun, then we're totally fine with that in terms of the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some positive feedback on the open playstyle and the art style of the game, but also someone mentioned the reward system, and I believe the stars that you get for completing tasks are the rewards.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've got sort of two systems in place there. Like, there's the stars for the challenges, and then the coins just for the golfing and sort of how well you do
I see.
per hole. The challenges is another thing we brought in for a couple of reasons. One, to give it a little bit of a like a reference point. If you are getting a bit too free and confused and lost, you can just sort of refer back to that list and be like, oh, okay, here's the next thing I can work on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 9 of those, and you can complete them all, and that'll affect your score overall. And the other reason is really just actually specific to it being a demo right now, which is, us thinking if it's being played for kind of a short window of time by some judges who are looking at a demo, it's probably good if they sort of have a constant set of goals in front of them.
Yeah. So, do the goals is the progression of the goals tied into each hole? So, does the goal number 1, does it involve the hole number 1? Is it like, are they tied together?
Not directly, only in the sense that if you do a bunch of holes without sort of looking at the challenges, the challenges will become a bit more difficult to do on the later holes. So you might not sort of realize that at first, but they are separate systems. So you can completely ignore the challenges if that's not interesting to you, or if the challenge is the most interesting thing, you can completely ignore the holes and just sort of do that. But they sort of connect in the sense that doing some of the leaf blower type challenges is going to be pretty difficult in certain areas of the map.
I want to touch on that. So you said that there is leaf blower challenges in certain areas. Are we gonna see more of that? So more of perhaps some challenges, but only for a certain, where you have to use a certain piece of equipment to score?
Yeah, definitely. It's a discussion we've had quite a few times actually internally in the team, where we're trying to figure out how to create a dynamic where the player can come into a scenario that needs to be solved. So it's solved in an open sense. So like maybe there's a hole you want to complete, or just something you want to achieve, and then of the equipment available to you, certain things will be more well suited to that task than others, but not so far as to where it becomes a puzzle, where you have to go and find that one set solution. So for the leaf blower in particular, that tool was explored more in the desert biome. There's a lot of ramps and stuff like that, and little ledges, and the ledges have these sort of like planks on them, so you'll find that those holes are a lot easier to complete with the leaf blower than with the club, because you have a much more fine-tuned control over the ball's movement along the ground, whereas the club is just more kind of like smashing it into the distance.
Yeah. How can player use the coins?
The coins are sort of they're used in two parts. One is just the score system.
Yeah.
So the better you do on each hole, the more coins you get, and you'll see that at the end of the game on the leaderboard. And the other is that they're kind of a health system as well. So when you jump onto the lava, you will lose coins instead of health.
Almost like in Sonic, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the way Sonic does that with the coins.
Yeah.
So there's definitely part of the inspiration for that. Yeah.
So it's health, but can the player actually utilize the coins in some way?
Not at the moment. Not in the demo.
Okay.
They're really just sort of there as a way to allow for different approaches to gameplay. Oh, sorry, there is one other use for them. I've forgotten this because it's been implemented quite recently, which is, I'm not even sure if you can see it in the footage either, but if you're playing the game in a more sort of perfectionistic way, you do have the option to reset the ball if you've messed up your shot. So you can just go back to the tee off point and try again. And that will cost you 10 coins, or 20 coins, or some amount of coins. So, you can completely ignore that system and just sort of take your shots as they come, or you can try and get every hole in one shot, but that's going to cost you some coins. And, if you're doing it that way, then you need to, I guess, worry about the coins a little bit more in terms of like whether or not you're going to run into the lava and mess around in the lava, or in like a sort of more finished version of the game, there would be other things as well that would sort of hurt the player.
I think it's a good system. You're collecting the reward, which is almost like a tool for you to not only survive the level but make sure you do well in the level. In sense, I wanted to go back to the funky binoculars you got going. We saw the player zooming in on a scoreboard. Are there scores tied to a multiplayer system? Are those coming in from online statistics as well, or is it single player?
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, we actually, on the feedback of our facilitator, Adam, who's been brilliant, we made the incredibly rational decision to implement an online leaderboard in the last, 4 days of development.
Wow.
So we just really quickly threw that in there to give it a bit more sense of competition. And yeah, I think it works. It's kind of hard to test because my internet's quite bad, but it should be working. You go and play the game and submit your score, and it should be up there.
Yeah, guys, if you want to check out the game, I'll link the Offbrand socials once again in the chat. Let's fight for that top high score.
Yes.
Before we will be shortly finishing off, just a few more questions for you. What is about the green guys? What are they?
Oh, so these are minions.
Okay.
It's the short answer. The long answer is they're kind of like golf balls.
But green.
But they're green. Yeah, they're sort of there as a way to mess around without the consequences of using the ball. So while you've just picked up the boxing gloves the first time, you don't know what they do yet. You might not want to kind of hit the ball. You might want to learn what they do using the minions. So they act in pretty much exactly the same way as the ball does.
I see.
They're the same size and shape, and they fly the same distance and stuff like that. And yeah, they're actually a really dumbed down version of what they used to be, but they're really just there as a way of messing around with the game and learning about how the stuff works.
Are they the creatures that live in those shrooms that we see on the screen?
Yes, definitely.
There we go. Okay, last but not least, very important question. What's the ambition for you and your team post Transfuser and ProtoPlay? What are you looking? Any milestones?
Yeah, so we would love to release this game. We would love to sort of keep working on it for, I think we've estimated sort of 6 to 8 months to a final release date, which would put us in sort of the second quarter of 2021. On PC, so we'd be looking at Steam, Epic Games Store, itch, GOG, and some other platforms. And yeah, so obviously we're hoping that we'll get the funding from a transfuser to help us to do that. And then in addition to that, we're going to be talking to publishers. We've actually just started the process of reaching out to some publishers with our pitch deck. So we'll be pretty intrigued to see how that goes. And even, I'm sure we'll get some immediate sort of no's, but we'll be learning a lot from those and making refinements to the pitch and tweaking to the get some support for that.
You'll be fine. If there is a will, there is a way. You'll get there. Don't worry. I believe in you. I got you. Okay. Any final shout outs or anything you would like to touch on before we finish up?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say thank you to my team who've been fantastic. I think Amantas is actually going to post some links in the chat right about now to his art station.
They have tried, but the links are
due
to chat management, the links aren't actually coming through. So if you would like to check out the links, perhaps go into Offbrand's Twitter or join our ProtoPlay Discord through one of the panels below our channel.
Yeah, if you jump into the Discord server, you'll find all that stuff. So yeah, big thank you to Amantis, who's been sort of helping with the leadership side of things, as well as doing the art stuff and coordinating that. And then Zach, who's also been doing art, has been fantastic, and Louise, who's been doing sound design. My little brother Rafe, who's been doing the music for the game. Not sure if the music's on right now, but he's done some really cool music for it that changes depending on where you are in the world. And yeah, and to Louise, who's in addition to sound design, been doing video production stuff. So all the trailers that we made for the game, she's helped out with, which has been really super useful because I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. And then beyond the team, I just want to say thank you to Deborah and Kirsty and the Transfuser team in general for this really awesome opportunity to sort of take a thing that we started at university and keep working on it and learn all this crazy stuff. Thank you to our mentors, so Adam and Jai, Mario. And there's many more that I've forgotten right now, so sorry guys, but you know who you are, and thank you. and thank you, Bartek, for doing this interview.
Of course, it's been a pleasure.
This opportunity.
Of course, I got you. It was a great chat, very engaging, plenty to discuss in your project. So it's been a good one to fly through. If you could just ask your colleagues to DM me the information, they won't paste it in the chat, and I'll forward those in the chat. And once again, thank you so much for chatting to me.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure.
Care. Best of luck with your project. It's a creative one, certainly. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, we are going on our break, and after we are back, we are gonna be chatting to one of the members of Industrial Gameworks. And if you would like to find out more about Will It Golf, you'll be able to see some links right now in the chat, and I'm gonna be forwarding a few more during our break, so keep an eye on that. See you soon.